Ladies and gentlemen, today's live stream is going to be an active participation to anyone and everyone that wishes to participate. And what I'm going to discuss with you are my experiences and some other people's experiences regarding dating in Asia and the many different dating sites that exist for those people who are interested in meeting an Asian girlfriend or wife in the Philippines, which is my experience. Although other people have searched in other places, I can only talk to you of my experience of 5 years on the internet and speaking with upwards of 3,000 women via Skype and internet chat. So now I'm going to take off these glasses so I can see who is on the chat window, and I'm going to go over approximately 77 experiences that I have had so that you too, when you watch this video, can understand the things that you need to do when talking to a woman on the internet. Not necessarily the Philippines, but in general on different dating sites throughout Asia. So here we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through the comments that I made and listed on another video that I had called Filipino Cupid's 10 Most Common Scams, because those and those are listed as the in the comments section of that video. And I'll give you the name of the excuse me. I'll give you the name of the video so that if you'd like to read those comments while we're on the dating site topic here in the live stream and you want to ask questions regarding those comments, I'll answer those questions. So I'm going to give you the name of the video that you can go look at the comments, because right now I can't fit those comments into the live stream comment section, because it only allows you 200. Okay, I'm just pasting the name of the title in. Okay, I can't list those topics in the description box because for two reasons. One, there's over 5,000 words and 25,000 characters with spaces. And in the description box of any video, I'm only going to be able to put about 4,000 characters in. So I will, when this video is done, I will post those 70 reasons I have on the Filipino Cupid dating site video, and then from there you can review them on this video as well. Good morning, Patrick Barker. Okay, good morning, Samuel. And we have the nemesis of Patrick Barker, Mr. Nuts, 1973. Good morning. Oh boy, it's going to be an interesting day today. Now, Patrick Barker says, Michael, check out the links I left you and sent you a friend request on Facebook, Shane, when you have a minute. Read all the links I left. Talk to you later. Okay, Patrick. You know, Patrick, I went on Facebook this morning. I saw your earlier comment. I don't know why, but I don't see the same chat requests on my computer as I do on my cell phone. And my cell phone was, the battery was, the battery was dead. So I'll check on my cell phone when it's charged up after this live stream. Okay, so let us begin um, with, I'm going to start reading from the Filipino Cupid's dating site notes that I have on that page. And on that page, as I just said, I have 70 suggestions and 70 experiences, or 70 suggestions and experiences as to what you're going to go through when visiting dating sites. First of all, these suggestions that I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes are things that I should have put into those comments, and I can add them. But for now, I'll just tell you that when you're dating or when you're on a dating site, there are some really serious questions that you need to ask these girls in order to find out exactly where they are, not where their profile says they are, but where they are. And I'll go through that when I go through the comments that I had previously made. Another really important thing is when you ask a woman, depending on your preference, if you have a preference that says that you wish to meet a woman with no children, and you're on a dating site and you're looking at a woman's profile, it's been my experience in many cases, not one or two or three, but dozens, that if you ask them if they do not have children or how many children they have, a lot of times the women will tell you, I have no children. But this is where in the title I talked about the ninja skills required to discern the truth on those dating sites. Now, I could give you examples, and the one example I could give you right off the bat is the Filipino Cupid's 10 most common scams. Is in that video, you're going to see a woman that I spoke with for only 2 months before I went to Cebu to visit that woman. And I had asked her if she had any children, and her answer was no. This was my first experience of actually meeting a woman who said she didn't have children. Another thing I had asked this woman is if she was going to ask me for money, because many of the girls do, when we met, and she said no, she wasn't going to ask me for money. So right off the bat, those 2 points should be addressed. Now, if you think it's ridiculous, I'm going to go right now. I'm going to discuss what I experienced with the woman. The first thing is after 2 months, we had an appointment to meet at 5 o'clock for dinner, and she showed up at about 5:15, which was okay because there was probably traffic from, she had a job, and where she was working, she said there was some traffic, which is okay. And I chose a hotel called the Estaca Bay Hotel, which was 10 minutes from her house. And she showed up, and she was quite lovely, nice girl. She could speak very good English. She could type English. And we sat down and I ordered my foods and she ordered her foods. And I was talking to the woman. And as I'm sitting down talking to the woman, she just blurted out, will you give me 60,000 pesos? Excuse me, 600,000 pesos, so that my mother and father can build a house. So I look around like this and like that, and I don't know who she's talking to, but apparently the woman was talking to me. So at the time, with the dollar to peso rate, 600,000 pesos was 15,000 American dollars, approximately. So I said to her, who are you talking to? And she said, I'm talking to you. Will you give me 600,000 pesos so I can build a house for my parents? And my next question to her was, didn't we discuss you asking me for money when we met? And she agreed that we discussed it. And this was her response. Yes, we discussed it. but I'm not asking you for money. I'm asking you for money from my parents. I'm not asking you for the money. I wish to build a house for my parents, and if we get married, that would be something that would be required in order for me to marry her. So now I knew this girl about 7 minutes. And I'm not exaggerating because she came into the restaurant where we were supposed to meet at the hotel. So I said, well, I don't really know you well enough to marry you. And she goes, yes, but if we do get married, will you give me 600,000 pesos so we can build the house for my parents? So I said, why don't we just like skip over that for a little bit? Because I did speak with her for 2 months. I mean, she seemed like a nice gal. So we got through dinner, okay. And at that point, it was late, probably 7:30, and she was up since 5 o'clock in the morning. And um, the evening was over. Okay. Now, I said to her, I'll send her home in a tricycle, but she said, can I stay at the hotel with you because it has air conditioning and we don't have aircon and it was really hot. So I said, well, there's separate beds, you can stay. And that's how it stayed. We stayed in separate beds. And I knew her for 2 days and we never kissed. We didn't even kiss goodbye. So it wasn't like it was not a sex date, not for me and not for her. So let's clear that up right now. So the next morning, we got up and had breakfast, and then her parents' house was at the top of a mountain. And we went up to the top of the mountain, and I met the family, very nice people. In fact, I had brought the father some abalone shells or some, and big, giant clam shells. The clam shells were about, well, ranging from about 7 inches to 12 or 13 inches in diameter, because she said her father collects shells. What I didn't know is that her father takes these shells and polishes the inside that just looks like a grayish purple inside, and he polishes them with fine powder by hand and makes them look like magnificent pieces of art. So we did get through that morning breakfast okay, and I went and visited the house, and the woman, the mother, and the rest of I think there were 7 brothers and sisters total. They all came out and greeted me, and we had some other foods to bring them as well. And I had brought snacks from the hall. I had gone shopping the day before, and about 10 minutes or less into the conversation at the woman's house, is the mother brought out a baby that was 2 years old. She walked. The baby walked, of course, and it was a 2-year-old girl, cute as a button, and and she said, "This is," and I forgot the girl's name. I really should have watched the video or took notes on this before I did it, but I forgot the girl's name. And she said, "This is such and such's daughter." So I looked over at the mother who was on my right and the girl that was on my left and the baby in front of me. And I looked at the mother and I looked at the girl and I said, but I asked you if you had children. And she goes, no, I don't have children. The baby sleeps in my mother's room. And she pointed to the room that the mother came out of. And and I said, but it's your baby. She says, yes, but I sleep in that room over there. Now this is the most important thing about dating. To some people, they either wish to meet somebody with children or wish to meet somebody without children. So that immediately nullified any possibility of me staying with this girl, compounded with her asking me for 600,000 pesos. At this point, it was just going to be a pleasant day with the family, which it was. We spent about 2 hours there, and um, she came back to the hotel. We had lunch, then we made several videos at the Osaka Bay Hotel of the pool area and what they call a beach. And if you look it up, it says that it has a beach behind it, but it's not a beach. It's just a series of broken stones and rocks that you can't walk on barefoot, But even if you could walk on barefoot, the water behind the hotel is like this nasty color brown, and you're lucky if you can see down 10 inches. Or at that time of the year, on that day, you couldn't see down through 10 inches of water. But it was a beautiful setting on the Bohol Sea. But I wouldn't go in that water, and there was no way to get into the water. I mean, if you couldn't walk on those rocks barefoot, and if you were going to wear sneakers, I would not go through that much trouble. So I'm going to go back. Right now I'm on the page of Filipina Cupids, and I was going to start reading my notes, but I'll go back to the live stream. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. All right. So, all right. So I'm gonna skip past any of the comments that don't have much to do with the dating. Okay, Patrick, I'll check out those links later on. All right, I have to move this over a little bit. Mr. Nuts might have a point. If there were links, YouTube is not sending me my notifications. I've said this in every video that I've made in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Because I started doing political videos, YouTube is just not sending me the links. Out of 3,700 video comments I see on my analytics page in the last 30 days, maybe if I counted them, there would be 240. That's it. So 3,400 and change comments just disappeared into thin air. If you posted links in the chat last night, well, I didn't go back to looking at videos last night. Okay, so we're going to stay on topic here. I'm not going to discuss anything from yesterday or anything in the future. I'm going to stay on this dating site thing. And one of the things I'll tell you, Scott Del Fuego is here. He's a member of my Patreon account. I'm going to dedicate, and it's going to be in the description box of the video itself when the video is loaded. I'm dedicating this video to Scott Del Fuego, who apparently Scott's thinking about coming to the Philippines and meeting a Filipino woman. And I made several suggestions to Scott while we were talking on the phone about my camera, and this brought back all the memories of dating in the Philippines. So this video is dedicated to Scott Del Fuego, dredging up all the crazy stuff that I went through. One of the craziest things, people think that I'm lying or that I'm a sex pat. One of the craziest things that I say is that I conversation through Skype or even telephone conversations from America, and texted more than 3,000 women in order to find a good woman that told me the truth and then had all the other qualifications that I wanted in a woman in the Philippines. Okay, so let me get through these. Let me get through these comments. All right, I'm seeing a lot of comments between the people here. I'm gonna go back if I don't see anything. Chuck found I don't understand why the woman over there. Okay, I don't know how that just happened. Seemed to think it's okay and normal to lie. Okay, Chuck. Well, it's a way of life here, which was the biggest thing I had to navigate around, was figuring out how to tell if they were lying. They're good at it. They're really good at it. They and there's so many of them that will tell you so many different stories that the only real there's there's no way to justify why they lie. They do that. It's a good question, but it's a way of life. People in the Philippines, I have a video where I asked directions and I said, let's have some fun and ask people for some directions to the jeepney terminal that is just 2 blocks away from the BQ Mall. And I walked up to them like what they call not a Mexicano, which means I'm a white boy from America and I don't know anything about the Philippines. And that was the attitude I took when I asked them where the jeepney terminal is. And I knew where it was because I go there every day. But the Filipinos that I asked would tell me 2 blocks over to the left, and that there's no jeepney terminal 2 blocks over to the left from the corner I was standing on. They would tell me around the corner, there's no jeepney terminal. There's a shuttle, like a 16 passenger shuttle, but it's not a jeepney terminal. And the thing is, when you say the word jeepney terminal, they all know that term. It's not like a magic word in English that doesn't exist in the Philippines. It's a Filipino word, jeepney terminal. So why the so after 3 people that just outright blatantly told me things that weren't true, some lady came over and explained to me, no, 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 don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. And she gave me exact directions, but I already knew where it was. If you're in a store and you ask them, where can I buy keychains? And you show them what you want to buy in your hand, they'll tell you the 3rd floor in the back, and you go to the 3rd floor in the back, and it's a clothing store. Why they lie is because they just do. I don't know why they do. And that's one of the main topics that I'm going to discuss. But why they do it, I don't know. How they do it, I do know. And I'm going to give you lots of examples, which I just gave you 2 of, that tell you they don't have children because the children live in a different room in the same house as they do. So they don't quantify that as having children. But if you are going to be with them, you're going to have to take the child with the woman and take care of both of them. But they will tell you they don't have children because the child lives in that room and they live in this room. And they don't think there's anything wrong with that. So, Chuck, I don't know the answer to your question. Okay, so Merry Christmas 2.0. Hello. Hello. Okay. Okay, now Samuel brought up a good point. Okay. Anytime Michael starts, oh no, that's Samuel. Okay, Scott Del Fuego brought up a good point. Anytime Michael starts dredging up memories, you can be sure they will be informative, entertaining, and usually very unique. Oh, I have some of the stuff I went over with Scott Del Fuego was just amazing. And I'll go over that with you. I just went over 2 points. Another point I made with Scott is that it can be fun being on the dating site with them if you take it as a joke. But you can also learn a lot from talking to these women. What I suggest you do is you open up a map of the Philippines when you're talking to the woman and ask her where she lives, and then search that area on Google. I use Google Maps, and it's the best that I think I've ever found. I use Google Maps, and then I look up, like, say, for instance, Tarlac in near Manila, and they'll tell you they live in Tarlac. Okay, well, that's like 5 hours away from Manila on a bus. So that's one thing that you should look where they live, and then you look at Tarlac. It's in the middle of a vast forest. So there are no hotels there. There were some rooms to rent, but there were no home. This is five years ago when I got to the Philippines. There were no hotels. There were a couple of wooden buildings that you could rent a room in. So you really need to find out where they live. But the bigger problem is when you ask them where they live, they already know that I was in Cebu or Bohol, because when I moved to the Philippines, I was in Cebu for 2 months. And then I moved to Bohol. So on my profile, I always kept it up to date where I lived. If I lived in Palawan, I put Palawan. If I lived in Cebu, I put Cebu. I changed it on the profile. So they know where you live. And when you ask them where they live, chances are they're going to tell you where you are is where they live. One girl, for instance, I said, "Where do you live?" And she said, "I live in Hagna," which is about 40 kilometers from from Alona Beach. Okay, so I would say, "Okay, I'll come and visit you in Hagna." It's spelled Janga, Hagna, but not with an H. The H sounds like a J. "I'll come and visit you tomorrow because I want to experience the beaches in Hagna." And she goes, "Well, there's just one problem." And there always is just one problem. You'll be lucky if you meet a girl with just one problem. So what is that problem? And the problem, this happens all the time. This isn't a one-off thing. This happens every day to everybody online that is trying to find out where the girl lives. And it's one of my main points that I went over with Scott. They say they live in Hagna. Now, they could have an aunt in Hagna. They could have a cousin in Hagna. They could have a friend in Hagna, and they could actually go to that aunt's, cousin, or friend's house, and they live there. Philippines is not like America where, unless you love somebody, they can come live with you. The Filipino families are very friendly to one another. If you need to stay on a different island for a week or a few months even, it's not a problem. So I said to the girl, digressing back, "So you live in Hagna, I'll come and visit you tomorrow." And she said, "Well, there's just one problem." And I was already on the internet since 2010 when I was making plans to come to the Philippines in 2013 or 14. And I said, "Well, what's this? How can we solve this problem? Don't tell them you're not interested in problems because they'll just hang up. So how can we solve this problem?" And she told me the problem. And what is the problem? Well, the problem is the girl was living in Manila with her auntie, her aunt. Okay, so, well, it says that you live in Hagna on your profile. Well, that's what you put there. Maybe she did it the day she talked to me. Maybe that's where she really lived. There's no way of knowing that. But I did communicate with the girl for 2 more years. And anytime I ever talked to the woman, she was in Manila. So what are you doing in Manila? She goes, "I'm taking care of my auntie, but I will come and visit you." I said, "You mean you'll come and visit your family?" "No, I want to come to visit you." So I said, "Well, how can we make that happen?" And she said, "Well, just send me plane fare," which at the time, to send short notice plane fare to a woman in Manila was somewhere around $100 or 5,000 pesos. That was out of the question. That's just not. But they don't want just the plane fare. They want the plane fare round trip sent to them. See, that's another thing. They'll come and visit you if you send them transportation money. So, but they won't come and visit you if you just send them transportation money one way. Now, going one step further, transportation to Manila on a plane we're just going to round it off at 5,000 pesos. So that would get her here. But then she says, "Well, I have no way to get home." I said, "Well, you told me you want to go back to your parents, but you don't have money." "Yes, but maybe I'll want to go back to my auntie, live with my auntie in Manila." And I'm going, "Oh, well, what is now?" I was interested in this girl because she could type, she could speak English on the phone, she was very attractive, and she said she was a good swimmer. So now, let's just say you sent them the 5,000 pesos. Well, they may very well be in Hagna, 40 kilometers away. You don't know where they live. They don't have addresses here on doors. There's no such thing as an address on a door in the Philippines. It might be on the main roads, a number somewhere, but in the city, but not in the province. So if you sent her 5,000 pesos, actually, that would have been enough money for her to travel by boat if she was in Manila. She could have traveled here by boat for about 1,200 pesos and 2,400 pesos round trip, and that would put 2,400 pesos, 2,600 pesos in her pocket. Now, these are the things that you're going to go through. So I never sent her the money, and for 2 years, I always would go back to her because I had her phone number and her email address and ask her if she was back in Hagna yet, and she never was. But she always wanted to meet me, continued the conversation that she didn't have a boyfriend, wasn't dating. Meanwhile, she's in the middle of Manila where most men go to meet women, most of them for sexual gratification. I've never been there. Big cities don't interest me in the Philippines or anywhere else. And so she really wanted 5,000 pesos. And I believe she was in Hagna, but I don't know. But even if she was, she could have took just 1,200 pesos, came and visit me and said she needed the airfare, but she wanted round trip. So basically, she wanted to make 7,500 pesos profit just to come and visit me, which would be the equivalent of her working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week for 2 months salary. Those are that's one of the things you got to watch out for when dating in the Philippines. Okay, so Merry Christmas. Many are pathological liars. That's true. They but they don't think of it like that. You're not going to get them to admit they lied to you. That's another characteristic of the Philippines. This woman stuck with this story that she wanted to live with her parents, but she didn't have money to come back. And then I told her, well, I send her money for boat fare to come back, but she wanted to fly on a plane because a boat takes 13 hours. Well, I mean, do you want to come back and live with your parents, or do you just want 10,000 pesos? She would stick to this story like glue for 2 years. And eventually I just gave up. She was never coming back. And she was probably working in Manila, but I doubt very much she was taking care of her auntie. Okay, so I'm going to. All right, Trusty Shellbank, I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay. All right. All right. You guys are having side conversations. That's really good. That's okay. Can't be 31 people watching. I never get 31 people watching. But thanks for telling me that. I can't see that part on my screen. Okay. Merry Christmas. What would you say the best way to be woman there is? You guys can talk between yourselves. That's fine. I'm going to go back to the comments that I have written down on Filipino Cupid's 10 most common scams. Okay. So the primary thing, I'll read it. I might as well just read it. What these small-minded simpletons just don't seem to get is that I spoke with this woman for a few weeks, and she said she wasn't going to ask me for money, and all of that went out the window within 15 minutes of meeting the girl. Actually, it was closer to 7 minutes, like I stated, but people won't believe 7 minutes, so I exaggerated and said it took 15 minutes to ask me for the money. And this, I'm referring to the girl in the video. I should also state quite clearly, that on my profile, I didn't wish to meet a woman with children simply because of the complications involved with all the families. Now, this is a big one when you meet a woman with a child. You, whoever you are instantly placed in the position of not only taking care of the girl and her needs, because most foreigners are not going to let their girlfriend go to work every day. I know there's a couple of men that let their girlfriend continue with their jobs for whatever reasons, but most foreigners are going to say to the girl, how much money do you make? And then they'll tell you, okay? Now, how much, now, whatever their salary is, and this is a big point now, it's not in the notes, but this is a big point. If the girl collects 7,500 pesos, which they don't, let's just go something more realistic at the time. Now, 220 pesos a day, so that's 1,500 pesos a week, 6,000 pesos. If the girl collects 6,000 pesos a month from her salary, you are now responsible, she believes, for those 6,000 pesos because she's not going to be able to give her mother and father money. So dwindle that down and ask the girl, how many pesos do you actually give your family? Because now you're responsible for not only taking care of the woman and her needs, but now you're responsible if the parents were collecting 1,500 pesos a month from the girl because she had apartment rentals and cell phone costs and transportation costs and food costs and whatever other costs. If you are now taking care of the girl and she used to send her mother and father 1,500 pesos, that's your responsibility, those 1,500 pesos. And they expect that every month. This is not a one-off thing. So now you're taking care of the girl, her clothes, her needs, her foods, her medical, dental, whatever. And now you're responsible for whatever money that you're going to have to give her spending money as well, which is reasonable. But because she's going to be with you and you guys are going to be cleaning the house together, she's not your slave. You have to give her something for her effort. And she's your girlfriend. And if you end up wanting to marry the girl, you're going to end up taking care of her anyway. But now you're responsible for whatever money so try to get that up front. How much money do you send your parents so that can never change? Usually they tell you right away, but sometimes they tell you, I give my parents 6,000 pesos a month. That's a lie. That's a lie. You only earn 6,000 pesos a month. How much do you send your parents? Well, if we were together, I'd want to give my mother and father 6,000 pesos a month because that's reasonable. This is how they think. They have something wrong with the way they think. Now, understanding that 6,000 pesos is a month's salary. If you met a woman in America, would you give her, let's say she made $1,000 a week, would you give her $4,000 a month? It's a real question. Would you give a woman that you were dating $4,000 a month if you lived in America? The answer is no. It's still a month's pay, but they don't think of it like that. It's Southeast Asia. They're not interested in anything else but you taking care of them, their children, and their family. So get it right through your head. They tell you they don't have children. You need to ask, well, if you don't have children, did you ever have children? Do you have children that lives with your their father? That's another question. I told Scott Del Fuego this. Do you have children that lives with your father? Oh, yes, I have 2 children that live with my father. Oh, well, then you have children. No, I don't have children. Because they already know by reading your profile, you don't want children, so they can't say they have children. And sometimes you date, in one case, I was in Bohol and I dated a woman for every bit of 6 months. And she maintained that she didn't have any children. There was no doubt she didn't have any children. And then Christmas came and she asked me for 20,000 pesos, or about $400. And I said, well, what do you need 20,000 pesos for? And she said, well, I want to buy my children's cell phone. I said, well, I thought you didn't have any children. She goes, well, they live with my mother. Going back to, she didn't have any children. Anyway, I didn't give her 20,000 pesos. She was not She could swim. She was a nice girl. She was very attractive. She was not the girl for me, though. You know, there was just no um, there was no love. You kind of figure that eventually you're going to grow into a loving relationship. It just never happened. And then when she told me she had children, then she lied to me for 6 months. And basically, I thought I was sending food home to her parents when I was really sending it home to whoever. I don't know. I never found out where she lived. They always live somewhere in the province. And wherever you're sending food to, you don't know who the food is going to. You don't know anything about what's happening. When they live in the province and you don't go meet their family, and she didn't want me to meet a family because she had children, this is what you're up against. Okay, so on her profile, it said she had no children, and we went through that. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Okay, so now the cost of the date, okay? The cost of the date to go from Bohol to Cebu and the hotel for 2 nights, my transportation, and the foods I bought and stuff for her parents, it cost me $250. But I did stay in Cebu for one more night, but not on her. On the second day, she left. I left a little bit after maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I stayed in the city for one more day to do some shopping at the Ayala Mall. But without my shopping at the Ayala Mall, there were 2 nights in the hotel. And the hotel was, I think we got a room on the water, looking over the water. I think it was 2,500 pesos a night, or 50 at that time. The peso rate was about $60 a night. The room was a dump, by the way, and so was the hotel. I mean, the aircon didn't work, and when you turned the aircon on, there was nothing but bacteria. And the tub, there was no tub. It was a shower filled with bacteria. The toilet bowl was cracked. It was an old 35 or 40-year-old rundown hotel. The pool water was clean, but the tiles were missing all over the place. There was no pump cover on the pump. There was just a storm before that. The beach was full of garbage. The whole disaster. But it cost me $250 and to get from one island to the other and stay at a hotel on the water for 2 nights. And you're going to spend $60 on any room anywhere in the Philippines on the ocean. Okay, so you're going to have to figure to go meet a woman on another island, a minimum of about $250. That's a ridiculous amount of money to have a date. Well, I mean, to have a date with a woman with children, for all what I just described, $250, I would have passed on that date. I had one diving for 4 days locally. And adding insult to injury, the girl thought there was nothing wrong at all, telling me that she didn't have children. Okay, this is the mentality of the girls you meet on dating sites, and I might add most Filipino business men and women have a tendency to misconstrue the truth as well, always in their favor, of course. One example, but now this video is 4 years old, but one example is there was basically a no refund policy in the Philippines. And I spent over 5 hours at a cell phone store. I purchased a cell phone and walked out of the store and came back an hour later telling them it didn't work. And I had to spend an additional 4 hours arguing with the manager to get the owner of the store, which was coming later, when I waited. So unlike, similar to the cost of spending $250 on the date itself, transportation, all the other little innuendos, there's no refunds. You can't get that money back. So unless you have that money to burn, then and now if I had been going to the most beautiful place in the world, someplace like maybe some of the places I visited in Palawan, $250 would be okay. But this was just throwing $250 out the window, and I didn't want to. I wasn't happy about Okay, so now we're going to go to some of the. I'm going to go to the conversation that I have in that video. Okay, where are the notes? Okay, here we go. Filipino Cupid 77 notes of what to watch out for when on any and all dating sites, and this is only girls on dating sites. That's another point I made quite clear to Scott. I was only interested in meeting girls. Go figure. And I made it clear that that's what I only wanted. You have to state this on your profile. And if I told you 5% of the people that smiled at me or waved at me were ladyboys or gays, it would be a low number. It was probably closer to 10%. And if you don't ask them if they're physically a woman, they just chat with you until you make plans to meet them. And then the day that you make a plan to meet them and you're at the place to meet them, this happened to me. I have a video of it. I was talking to the police at the boat dock. They asked me why I was standing around for such a long time. I said I'm supposed to meet a woman. And then we got into this long conversation about different things. And well, the woman texts me. I said, "Where are you? You're supposed to be on the 1 o'clock ferry." Well, there's just one problem. I said, "What's the problem?" And the police were listening to the conversation because we were talking on the phone. And she said, "Well, and then I'm a ladyboy." And I turned around and I said, "What?" And I said, "No, I'm not interested in meeting you." And I hung up the phone. And then I saw that I had a text and it said, "I have one problem. I'm a ladyboy." And and I showed it to the police like this. I took the phone and showed it to the police, and we all had a good laugh, and I went home. So one thing you need to do is make sure they're a woman. Now, don't ask them if they think they're a woman, because that's different than if they're a woman. You have to ask them if they're physically a woman, because ladyboys, if you say to them, "Well, you're a good-looking man," they say, "I'm not a man, I'm a ladyboy," and they get really pissed off because they think they're women. So don't ask them if they're women. Ask them if they were born a woman, or you could ask them if they got a drop-down hammer. But you gotta ask them that question right in the beginning. Otherwise, you're gonna meet a woman with a drop-down hammer. Let's see where we are here with the comments. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Gerald Payne in a minute. Okay, so 33, yeah, okay, so Mr. Nuts, can I select? All right. Merry Christmas says they just want money. Most, that's the truth. Okay. All right. Nomad Patriot. Okay, you're my Philippines. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I missed the beginning of the conversation, but this is where I'm starting. Okay, Samuel agrees it's all about money. Scott Del Fuego says, I learned more in an hour talk with the Rabbi Chewbacca than I would in 2 months of trying to research this topic. He is a subject matter expert. Thank you, Scott. Okay, my Philippines interest. Nomad, leave Michael's channel alone. All right. I didn't see anything. All right, you guys have it out over there in the comments. Merry Christmas says, whatever food you send back with these girls, even, listen, this is a good point. You are not, you don't have to give the girls money, but they want money. But they'll also accept food. And they will go with you. They'll say, will you take me food shopping so I can buy foods for my family? They're not gonna be shy about this. It's their culture. So let's just say that's why you never want to meet a girl in a mall. You don't ever meet a girl in the mall. You could meet a girl on the steps of the front of the mall, and or you could meet a girl inside the mall by the escalator, and then say we're going to go someplace else. But if you're walking around in the mall, the girl is immediately. I'll give you, for instance, I'm going to tell you about a date I had in Anda after this, and then I'm going to tell you about a date I had in the hall about. Okay, so I dated this girl. It wasn't long, a few days. I met her in the city and we had lunch. And, well, I could tell you the refrigerator story, uh, but I'll tell you the refrigerator story. Then I'll tell you about the ICM mall story, the clothes. The girl was a clothes horse. So let me tell you about the clothes first. Okay. So we're in the ICM mall. So she tells me, will you buy me a shirt, a blouse? I said, sure. So she walked into the store and she blah, blah, blah in Visaya to the girl in the store. And the girl in the store took a beautiful blouse off the shelf. I only have dated the woman a couple of times for lunch now. We didn't have a relationship, and we always met in the city. Today we met in usually near the BQ mall and had lunch in one of the little shops there and talked. Just verbal conversation. And then but one day she wanted to go to the ICM mall. Well, that's where I wanted to go, and she agreed to meet me there. So we get to the ICM mall, and she goes, "Will you buy me a blouse?" And she goes into the store and blah blah blahs to the woman. And the women in the store and the men in the store, when they do that blah 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 to the storekeepers, they're telling you they have a rich foreigner over there that's dumber than a box of rocks. Now I don't know if they use those words, but that's what they're telling the store clerk. So just pile on this stuff. So the woman gives her a blouse, then she gives her a pair of slacks, then she gave her shoes because it was an all-in-one store, and the bill came out. It was just a little over $100, about 5,300 pesos. And she goes, "Do you like it?" I said, "Yeah, that's very nice stuff." She goes, "Can I get another blouse to match the pants?" I said, "Of course you can get another blouse to match the pants." So she puts this stuff to, like, now we're into 6,000 pesos. She had she had nice taste. We originally went into the store for a 600 peso blouse, and now we had close to 6,000 pesos on the bill. So the woman storekeeper, I'm in there with her. I'm just loving this because the woman storekeeper, she's just loving it too. So she gets this stuff, and the girl's in the clothes. She goes, "Can I wear them?" I said, "You could wear them any way you want." And the woman tells me what the bill was, 6,000 and change. And I says, "Okay." So I tell the girl it's 6,000 and change. She goes, "Aren't you going to buy this for me?" I said, "We walked in here for a 600 peso blouse and you got 6,000 pesos. No, I'm not going to buy the stuff for you. But if you want to buy it, I'll wait for you to pay and then we'll go out for lunch." Well, the looks on these people's, all the people in the store people that were working, they're all surrounding me like, this guy is just stone stupid. Let's smile and act nice, and he'll buy her anything. Well, I left it there. So that's it. That's a true experience. Another girl I met from Anda, I said, "I'll come out to Anda and meet you. I'll come out to Anda and I'll meet you in Anda. I want to see Anda. It has beautiful white sand beaches in Anda. Now that place is nice." Okay, so nicer than any place in Cebu that I've ever been. She goes, "We will come into the city and pick you up." I'm going, "I'm okay. I know how to use the jeepney and the buses because one bus to Anda, and you get off the bus in front of a church, and her house is behind the church, 75 feet off the road. It was simple directions. But then they changed it the day before that her and her sister want to come in and meet me so I don't get lost. Total bullshit. Okay. They wanted to come in to do food shopping for a party that they were going to have. So they come to the ICM mall. I meet them because that's where the bus terminal is about 400 or 500 feet from the front entrance of ICM mall. And they meet me at the entrance. And she goes, "We're going to go food shopping now, okay?" I said, "Of course." And I had a backpack on with my cameras in my computer, so I couldn't go into the store with the backpack. Now I could. Everybody knows me, but at the time I wouldn't be allowed. And so they did shopping. So it came out to 7,340 pesos, or $150. So I was at the outside of the cash register sitting down on a bench, and they went like this. Well, for now I'm allowed into the store because all the food was past the cash register in bed, and the sister. Now, by the way, I have to pay for their transportation, which was 200 pesos, 175 pesos each here. So say 200 and 200 is 400 plus 400 back. That's 800 pesos. So I already paid for, it was $20 in transportation. That was totally unnecessary. They have stores in Anda. They have supermarkets in Anda. They have stores that sell meat, vegetables, and dried goods in Anda. Not only do they have stores, but they have nice stores. But they put 7,340 pesos on the counter, and the sister says it's 7,340 pesos. I said, what does that have to do with me? $150 for foods that they needed for a party that they were going to have. And I'm responsible for the food. So she goes, you're not going to pay us for this? I said, no, I'm not going to pay that. I don't even know you. For all I know, you could be taking me back to some place that you don't even live. I don't know who you are. Then I said, when we get to Anda, I'll buy some foods. So she goes, well, the party is for you, to greet you and to the family. I'm going, all right, here's 1,500 pesos. I'm going to buy them food anyway when I get there. But I give the 1,500 pesos, and the girl doesn't spend it. We left. Then we spent it out in Anda. And actually, 1,500 pesos was enough food for the party. So then they were actually tripling it, but they had bags of potato chips and pretzels and popcorn, junk food. I don't buy junk food. I don't buy it for me. And when I had men working for me, I wouldn't buy it for them. I might buy them pizza or Heroes, but I don't buy junk food to anybody. I don't buy it for myself. Okay, so now there's a girl. We went out there, wonderful family. She was only 21 years old. She was very immature. And I get there, and she tells me it was a Thursday afternoon. Friday was meet the family day, and Saturday was the party. And I stayed at a beautiful hotel, filthy but beautiful, beautiful view. And not the hotel I paid for online. I paid for the honeymoon suite, and they gave me, I don't know what they gave. They gave me a suite that was 900 pesos online, but I paid for the honeymoon suite. But the honeymoon suite they sold because I didn't get back to Anda and back to the hotel till 7:30, and they just figured I wasn't coming, even though it was booked in advance. No refunds. I had a fight with the owner. Pretty much, I got very upset with the owner. I embarrassed him. So not enough for him to give me back my money, but I embarrassed him by telling him I'm going to make a formal complaint, and I did that at a table with other people at the table, saying that I paid 1,800 pesos for the room, and I got the 900 peso room. I paid for aircon, and I have a fan that doesn't oscillate. I want my money back, and the fan had rust on it, so every time you turn the fan on, and you turn the oscillator on, it jerked really quick. There was a gear tooth missing, and every time it jerked, it would blow rust on you. That's how rusty the fan was. Not every time, and when I woke up in the morning from where I was sleeping, there were thousands of little brown spots on the sheet from the rust that blew on the bed. Getting back to the family. So I'm with the family on Friday. The father tells me, look, my daughter's a virgin. If you plan on even kissing her, don't do that. But if you want to marry her, that's okay. Now, here's a girl I only knew 2 weeks online and on the phone. Well, I sure don't want to marry your daughter, sir. I know that already. Well, if, in case you do want to marry her, then you can get married this week. This week, not this year, this week. So sorry, I assure you, I don't want to marry your daughter, but I do want to enjoy the beach behind the hotel because that's where they have their little bungalow on the beach. That was my end of video. So the girl was nice, the family was nice, not the girl for me. And I'm going to leave on Monday. That was what I had planned. I did get the room. The 2 days I booked, Thursday night and Friday night, I paid 1,800 pesos for each room for the night. And then on Saturday night, they gave me the reduced rate of 900 pesos, but they kept me in the same room. I never got the honeymoon suite. And then Sunday, I was going to pay again for the night. And the girl tells me Sunday afternoon, she goes, "Are you going to marry me?" And I said, "No, I'm definitely not going to marry you." And she said, "Why?" I said, "Well, I don't love you." She didn't understand that at all. She goes, "But we will love each other." I said, "What is it that exactly do you want?" She goes, "Well, I have something to tell you." Now I'm thinking she's got one of these kids I'm playing with are her kids, but it was not. She tells me I am registered to go to college at the Mindanao State College or Mindanao Community College in Mindanao, and I have to leave on Thursday. So we have to get married before Thursday. I said, well, what are you serious? I mean, I'm not even believing this. I'm only in the Philippines like 4 months and I'm hearing this nonsense. She was serious. She was serious. She wanted to get married and she was serious that if we get married, I have to give her 10,000 pesos a month for her college tuition, which means she could have went to her cousin in Mindanao or Cebu or stayed in her aunt's house 2 blocks away. And every month I send 10,000 pesos through Western Union. I said, well, when will you be coming back? Maybe we can date further, just to play along with this whole hoax. And she goes, I'll be back in 2 years, and then we can start having children. This is what you go through. Now I'm going to tell you the refrigerator story, and then I'm going to go back. I go back to the comments. I meet a girl. I go out to lunch with her and her friend near the BQ Mall. Great little eatery. The whole lunch cost us about 400 pesos for the three of us. They had soda, which apparently they don't get too often. And we go across to the hospital, the Romero Hospital, and we go upstairs and we look at the view of the bay. Beautiful view at the back of the. Well, actually, this was the Romero Hospital has a view overlooking the bay, and so does the other hospital, the one I had my foot dressed in. So we go across there, and that was our first date. The second date, she brings her cousin to a hotel slash restaurant on the beach near Alona Beach, and we have lunch because we're supposed to have breakfast. They were supposed to be here at 9 o'clock. They got here at 10:30 Filipino time. That just blew my whole day. Anyway, so we go to have lunch, and we have lunch. I take the other girl out. She goes, "Is it okay if my cousin stays?" I said, "Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. I'll buy lunch for your cousin." They didn't pick anything special, and I think the restaurant that we went to, I think the whole lunch might have cost 600 or 700 pesos with soda. Again, they don't get soda that much, these people. And so that was our second date. And the next time she came, she came with her cousin again. And this time her cousin left and we were on the beach. We were sitting on the beach. And she says, she goes, my parents want to invite you to the fiesta next week. I said, well, okay. She goes, there's just one problem. And here's that one problem again. I said, what's the problem? Because here we go again. So she tells me, my parents wish to give you a cold beer when you get to the house. This is the refrigerator story from hell. I said, well, I don't drink beer. I don't drink alcohol. I didn't start drinking alcohol till about 8 or 9 months ago. Then I'm talking that for 4 years I was in the Philippines. I haven't had 2 beers since I got here. And for 4 years I had maybe 2 beers. That was it. And so moving past that, maybe I started drinking about a year and a half ago when I started going to parties, but I don't drink on a regular basis, so I don't even consider that drinking. So I tell the girl, I don't drink beer. So she goes, well, they would like to hand you, and she does this with her hand. They would like to hand you a bottle of water, cold water. I said, that'd be nice. Thank you. And she goes, well, there's just one problem. Another problem. I said, what's the problem? She goes, they don't have a refrigerator. I said, well, I'll drink room temperature water or I'll bring ice because you have to have an ice chest if you don't have a refrigerator, right? So she goes, but that's a problem. And I said, well, what now problem can we have? I'm buying ice for the fiesta, and you're going to be able to put the water in an ice cooler. Yes, but my family would like to hand you your water coming from a refrigerator. I said, so what's the problem? She goes, well, we don't have a refrigerator. Now, I'm not joking. So I said, well, how much, I'm playing along here because I've been doing this for years at this point. How much does a refrigerator cost so you can hand me a bottle of water? 18,500 pesos, which at the time was about $400. Well, we were on the beach in a nice, wonderful public place, and there was public transportation about a block away. And I gave her some monies for transportation, and I had paid her cousin 125 pesos to bring her from the city that day, and 125 pesos to bring her the previous date. And so what I did, the jeepney is a block away, and the jeepney from Alona Beach goes directly to 250 feet away from the BQ Mall, which is where she lived. And I gave her transportation money. I gave her 100 pesos. So she goes, this isn't enough. I said, well, what do you mean it's not enough? She goes, I want to take a hobble, a motorcycle. I said, come on, let's go up to the road. And when we got up to the road, I walked away. But she didn't want to drive the jeepney. She was beneath a jeepney. Well, I take the jeepney, and I'm okay with the jeepney, but they want transportation. They want to go either a jeepney or a tricycle or a cab. And a lot of them ask you for cab fare. I'm going to go back to the comments. And then, if someone can remember, let me tell you about Lucky Lucy, who lives in Palo. That would have costed me 2.5 million pesos. All right, so I'm going to go down a page here. All right. Gerald Peen. Well, I'm not down to the bottom of the comments. If you need advice, okay. So this is not limited to date in Asia. This is all Filipino dating sites. Filipino Cupid, Cherry Blossoms, Date in Asia, Christian Filipina. Oh my God! Now Christian Filipina, in my opinion, is the worst of all of them because the girls profess to be Christians, but if you get over to Skype and you want to do a live show, if you send them money, they're into it. They're going to go, not all girls, not all of them, but a lot of them. So they call themselves good Christians, God-fearing, church-going women. But if you offer them enough money, which they'll mention, do you want to do, when you get off Christian Filipina, they'll ask you, do you want to do live cam? And when you're on live cam, they'll start talking crazy to you and ask you if you want to go all the way, which means take off your clothes and masturbate, which is not something I ever did. Never, not once, because they could be recording it and they could use that against you. So, and half the times they might just do that. So no, I don't want to do that. But most of the girls on the dating sites that call themselves good, home fearing, honest girls, they don't have a problem with getting naked on a camera. I'm not, no, I can't say most. Let me say many. Okay. But that's what they're offering. Now, if you're a piece of garbage for sex tourist and you offer them money, a much more higher percentage. I was in Cebu, and this guy, I used to call him Dirty Bob because he had a different girl every day. And Dirty Bob would just say, "Watch this. Look, this is what I learned a lot from Dirty Bob. She's a good girl, right?" And he's typing away, and he goes, "Let's go over to Skype so we can chat private." And then here's a good, clean girl. Here's a good, honest, hardworking, God-fearing woman. How much money to do a live show? And I won't do that. And then Bob would say, "I'll give you 5,000 pesos, which is a lot of money. It's a whole month's savings, or 2 months savings, or 3 months savings." Okay. And they'll do it. Then they'll just agree. He goes, "See, you just offer them 5,000 pesos. Don't start at 2 or 3. Just start at 5, and they'll know you're rich, and they'll do it." All right. Dirty Bob. Oh, Geraldine, I thought you wanted actual dating advice. I don't know anything about. That's pretty. If you don't know the answer to that question, then you're just trolling the channel. Gerald Peen, is it gay to have sex with a transsexual? Come on, dude. Get real. Jeez. You know, you meet some really sick people on the internet. I got to tell you. And Gerald Peen, that question proves beyond any doubt that there's something, you're not a stable individual. You are contemplating something that any normal person wouldn't contemplate. And then you're asking for somebody to give you solace in your decision to have sex with a transvestite. You need some psychiatric help, dude. I'm going down through the comments. Okay, I'm back to this Gerald Peen guy. Jeez, Gerald, I can't believe you asked that question. Is it, anybody else want to answer its question? Is it gay to have sex with a transsexual? Please advise. For me, I never contemplated the question before. Okay, so Samuel says, "Does a horse neigh?" Of course, a horse neighs. So Samuel answered your question. Of course, it's gay to have sex with a transsexual. Kadiva, Diva, Cad, Cad, Cadavita love. Filipina is around you whenever you are. I don't know what that means. Okay, I've been to the Philippines 4 times. I agree with you 100%. I even married one and brought one back to the U.S., and now I'm having problems with her. Don't bring them back to America. Don't do that. Unless you're like a man my age that brings a girl back to the States, has about a young girl, let's say, like Daisy, my girlfriend's 24. She would probably stay with me for the rest of my life. She never wanted to go back to America. She didn't even want to go to visit to America to visit. Okay. But not 90, a high percentage of men my age that bring back a 24-year-old girl to America, it doesn't work out. Unless you're really wealthy. I mean, and you can attend to whatever it is that they want in life. Because a girl, a young Filipina, pretty Filipina is going to get, oh, they're going to, no matter where you go in the States. I dated a Filipino woman from the Philippines in 1980, and I was 25 and she was 20. And no matter where we went, every guy hit on her. Every guy. It was like, wow, a Filipino. And you're going to have to deal with that. So I would never bring a girl back to the States. I would bring Daisy back to the States, but I'm with Daisy 2.5 years now. Are trannies, Scott Del Fuego wants to know, are trannies that prevalent in normal society? Oh, in the Philippines culture? You, I don't I don't know what prevalent means actually, but you'll meet if you go into the mall, you're going to meet between 2 and 10 every day. If you're talking to people behind the counter and you're buying stuff, many of them wear this little plastic band, like they just wear it over their hair like this. They just take it and they put it up over their hair like that. It could be yellow or blue or green. That means they're gay or transvestites. Um, so when you see that band, that means that's a signal that they're gay. And then a lot of them have nail polish on their hands and their feet because at night they go out dressed up differently. So on any given day, if you're in the stores, you're going to meet somewhere between 2 and 10 are going to have that band on their head. And if you're talking to like 50 people during the course, if you go to Alona Beach, you're going to meet 10% of all the ladyboys on the island of Bohol probably live in Alona Beach. So you're going to meet at the Outback Steakhouse. There's two ladyboys that give you the menu. And inside the Outback Steakhouse, there's two ladyboys dressed up like girls, but no boobs, that are waitresses. But if you say, I made the mistake saying, well, look, you're a pretty guapo guy, because one of them was a good looking man. And then, I'm not a guy, I'm a ladyboy. And in Alona Beach, it's prevalent, yeah. In Cebu, yes. In all the malls, many of them work in the malls. They work everywhere. I mean, but no one here really gives a flying crap. They're not so aggressive, but they're everywhere. Samuel Smith, okay. And now we go down one more. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. The best way to meet women here in the, thank you for the super chat. I will put your name on a super chat dinner that Daisy and I may have this weekend. Thank you very much. What is the best way to meet women there? Okay. My experience, if dating sites are out of the question, okay, I met the girl that I dated for 6 months with 2 children. I met her in the mall. She worked in the mall. She was actually scraping the floor with a scraper. And then she would polish the floor. And I would see her. She always at 8 o'clock in the morning. She was always polishing the same entrance to ICM Mall. So I met her at the mall, and she worked at the mall, which meant she had a job. I dated another woman that was a really fine lady. She was a dental assistant, but she had children. Again, she had children. So in person is the best. Not in a bar. It's not any different in this world than meet a woman in a bar in America. I can honestly say I never had a long-term relationship with anybody I met in a bar. And my father had a rule. If you meet him in a bar, don't bring him home. That was like the number one thing that my father told me when I was a kid. He goes, if you meet a woman in a bar, don't bring them home, because he's not going to like that. Because my father spent a lot of time in bars, and he was a good-looking man, and he explained what it was to meet women in bars when I was like 15 years old. Because when I was 15, you could go into a bar and you could drink with no problem, local bars. So that's not a good place to meet them. On a beach, okay, there are places that on the beach, they have these little cabanas, okay? And each family or group of friends will rent the cabana for the day. And now, if not knowing anybody at any cabana, You can walk up and say hello to anybody there. And each and every time they're going to invite you to the party that they're having and offer you food. Filipinos are very generous when it comes to food and meeting foreigners. They all want to say at the end of the day they talked with a foreigner. Not all, but most. Now, I met a nice girl at one of these little fiesta parties. There's a place not too far from Malona Beach where they have these little bungalows. And I was walking down the beach and I waved, and the guys would say, come on over and talk. And we would talk what few words I knew at the time. That's a nice, on the beach is a very nice way to meet a Filipino. On the jeepney, yep, on the jeepney is a great place to meet a Filipino. But my first suggestion of all of those is the mall, and uh, to the girls that work in the mall. And I'll even give you a suggestion to that. Ask a girl behind the counter if she knows any single women. Don't be afraid. They all want to introduce their friends to a foreigner. Not all, but most. Like for instance, at the basement of the BQ Mall, if you ask one or two of the managers downstairs, do you know any single women that would like to meet a foreigner? They'll introduce you to two or three of the girls that work in the store. And I'm not joking about this, but just be nice. And you don't have to know the managers. You could just walk up to them and say, look, I'm a foreigner. I plan on moving to the Philippines. I would like to meet a nice girl to marry or for to be my girlfriend. And the managers of the stores or the people behind the counter will probably tell you if they know somebody that's single that wants to meet a foreigner. There are many girls that don't wish to meet a foreigner. People ask me if Daisy has a sister, a beautiful sister that's not married, and she does, but she does not want to meet a foreigner. She's not interested in meeting a foreigner. She never wanted to meet a foreigner. Daisy's asked her for people that have come here to visit me, would you like to meet a foreigner? And she said no. So there are girls that are adamantly objectionable to meeting a foreigner, and then there are girls that only want to meet a foreigner. So I would say, in order, the malls, by asking the people in the malls for a single girl. Secondly, the girls that work in the malls, and not necessarily the girls behind the cash registers, the girls stocking the shelves. Just walk up to them and ask them if they have a woman that they know that would like to meet a foreigner. It's not uncommon for them to say yes. Many of the women, after I was here a short period of time, would say, do you have a girlfriend? And I would say no. And they would tell me, well, I have a girlfriend for you to meet. Okay, because they would see my face a few times, they would know that I kind of live here. But being that you live here, it's a lot easier. You're not on vacation as a sex tourist. So the girls, the managers are going to know all the girls that are single. The girls at the cash register may know one or two girls or no girls, but the girls working individually, polishing the floors. Some of these girls have a higher education, 2 years of college, and they're polishing floors for 32 cents an hour. And then the third place is the beach, and at these on Sunday, specifically on Sunday. Sunday is when the Filipino families get together to have parties, and on any beach. Okay, that's on Sunday. It's family day, just like when I grew up. Sundays was a family day, and we had a big Italian family. My father had 6 brothers and sisters, and at one person's house that usually rotated of the 3 people that own houses, we would have dinner, and my mother would make sauce, and my aunt would make a turkey, and or ham or something like that. So fiesta, it's like a small fiesta Sunday. And when I say their family, I'm not talking about 8 or 10 people. They rent a little bungalow, which is like 12 by 12. And there's a table, and outside the bungalow to the left or to the right, or one big barbecue, there's barbecues, and there might be 40 or 50 people in the family. And then I got to tell you, it's a really nice way to meet people. I've got some videos up on on uh, on YouTube about those places on the beach. And thank you for the well, someone. Thank you. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Um, those would be the places that I would suggest. Now, if you are planning to come to Bahal and you wish for me to to look, I'll meet you in the city and I'll actually walk you around to a couple of places in the malls that you could do that. And I'll ask a couple of people who know me, and I'll say, "This is," but you have to be a serious type of person. Okay, I mean, if you just as a sex tourist, no. Now, if you want to meet women to be a sex tourist, don't come to Bahal because it's frowned upon. It's a province, Bahal, or it was a province when I got here. It's starting to become pretty civilized here. But if you want to meet girls to just date for one night, you want to go to Cebu and you want to stay near Ayala. I stayed there for 2 months. I was so disgusted with the whole scene of where I lived, and I won't mention the name of the hotel. It was a sex tourist hotel. Great place to live, safe, great food, best chefs in the world, but it was a sex tourist. Every day, people were bringing them in and out every day, 2 or 3 a day. Sometimes brothers would come to. It was a nightmare. But you got to meet people from all over the world, from all walks of life in any one of the 5 or 6 major hotels in Cebu City within a kilometer of the ICM Mall. And ICM Mall, if you really want to meet a girl, just sit at the bottom of the escalators. Just sit there for 15 minutes on a weekend, and you're going to meet a lot of girls. Okay, but it's gonna cost you money. But I don't know what you want out of life, but that's what you didn't tell me what kind of girls you want to meet. All right, so I'm going to go down. I see it looks like Merry Christmas posted $10 from my super chat. All right, well, thank you, but I would have answered your question anyway. So if you're planning on coming to the Philippines and you really want to talk to me about this, uh, one more suggestion that I can make to you is to go to um, a province a province girl, what they call a province girl. Get online, ask them where they live, and if it's a province, 2 thumbs up. You really want to meet a girl that lives and works in the province. You really, for a long term, high quality relationship, meeting a girl in the city is quite iffy. But the province girls, you are taking them, it's true, you're taking them out of a poor environment, but they're really good women. And I'll vouch for that with Daisy and her mother and her sisters. They don't ask me for anything. They're always kind on the phone. They call me up for my birthday. They call me up for Christmas. They don't ask for anything. Province girl is the way to go. So Samuel says, I'm going to get to that $10 super chat in a minute. I have to scroll down. I'm not where I want to be. Um, if it's a different person and they have a different question, it looks to be the same picture. I think it is. So, okay, Merry Christmas. Hi, watching here in Hong Kong. Thank you. I didn't know that they had internet in China. You're the first person that has ever said hello to me from Hong Kong. Thanks for mentioning that. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know they had internet in Hong Kong. I mean, they had internet that you could see this video in Hong Kong. Mr. Nuts asks, I don't understand the amount of pesos used. 50 pesos equals $1. So 1 peso equals 2 cents. Okay, I'm going to go down. You know, this guy, Trusty Shellbank, you can leave him alone unless you really feel the urge. But I don't know what you're saying. Most canos wouldn't have the balls to walk away. Walk away from what? Maybe you can answer that so I can understand what you're talking about. Craig K. He had a girl ask him to buy her a house on the second date. Well, Craig, what better time to ask for somebody to buy you a house than on the second date? It has to be better than the first date. And if you don't buy it on the second date, there's not going to be a third date. So you just saved the cost of a third date. On the first date, it's a little bit upsetting. But on the second date, that's the right time for a girl to ask you to buy her a house, because now you know her intentions, and I have no other reason for that being the best date. But just look at it like this: you saved the price of a third date, so she did you a favor. Filipino Cupid is just as just as much scams on any one of them. The biggest scam of Filipino dating sites is Christian Filipino. Somehow, and I knew the guy who owns it, Peter. He started Christian Filipino when I started on the internet sites back in 2010 or 2011. I think it was such a small operation. You just called Peter up through Skype or on the phone, or talk to him through Facebook, and him or his wife would answer. And he went from being $39 a month for a gold membership to now it's $100 a month. I mean, this is a total fraud. I mean, $100 a month or $1,000 buys you a lifetime membership. And then with the problem with Christian Filipino, the problem with dating in the Philippines is you might have certain requirements: age, looks, height, measurements, and location, whether or not they swim, children, no children, blah, blah, blah. You might have certain requirements. Okay, so now you have to find a woman in a place that you want to visit. You don't want to visit Manila, and you don't want to visit in Cebu, and you don't want to visit Zamboanga or Dipolog or Iligan City in Mindanao. You don't want to visit these places. So you got to find a girl that does the things you like in a place that you choose to visit. And you really should do the research, or ask me. I'll tell you if these places are safe, but you can go on and Google crime statistics for any town or city in the Philippines. Something I suggest you do. Okay, so Craig K. I had a girl tell me her father died and was, okay, laying in her house for 1 week. They needed money for a funeral. Yep, funerals are big here in the Philippines. But the bigger scam is when you're online and they tell you, I want to talk to you. You're on Skype with them. I want to talk to you. This is a Skype thing. I want to, oh, but I have a toothache. Oh, and they're crying. You can see no tears, but they're crying. My tooth is, can you send me money so I can go to the dentist? That's a big one. Big one. Big Skype for it. Big Skype for it. Right. Vitros. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're not talking about businesses right now. Okay. We're talking about dating in the Philippines. But he does have a point. Once you meet a girl, if you ever decide to have a business, it goes underneath the Filipina's name 60%, 40%. Now, I'll burn that up for this guy just because it's a really good topic. I'll give it to you in under 2 minutes. You meet a girl, you love the girl, you marry the girl, and you set up a business. It's her business. Okay, she has no money. So you move 2 million pesos into a Philippines bank account so you can buy the business, and you buy the business. And an hour later, after the papers are signed, she can sell. Now, you bought a business for 2 million pesos, which brings me to Lucky Lucy after I talk about that $10 super chat. I'm going to go down and find that right now. Immediately after I'm done with this. She owns the business. An hour after you sign the paper, she can sell the business. The business is worth 2 million pesos. She can sell it to somebody for 500,000 pesos, and you have no grounds to stand on. The business is under her name. The paperwork is under her name, and she can do whatever she wants with the business, and he's right. You got to find a good woman. So I'm going to go down right now and find 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I was in the right place. Okay, so Merry Christmas. Okay, so the $10 super chat was with Merry Christmas, but I didn't see any question related to that. So in a minute, if you're still here, I can give you, I can do this. I can call you if you like. Let me get you the information so that you can give me your phone number. Okay. On my homepage, I have a Facebook account, and then you can ask me to be your friend. Tell me what your name is before you leave here. Ask me to be your friend on Facebook. Here's the link for Merry Christmas. I'm going to put the link at in the box down there. Ask me to be your friend. Please tell me what your name is, so that when I see the chat requests, because I get hundreds of chat requests a week. I mean, friend requests a week. Tell me what your name is on Facebook. Hopefully you're still here, and I'll call you directly. And you leave your telephone number. We'll become friends, and if you like, you leave your telephone number, and I'll call you after the super chat is done. After this live stream is done. So the link is downstairs there. So let me go through. Thank you for that $10 super chat. Now you know what we're going to do also. It typically costs a decent meal here in the Philippines is $5 or $6. So that $10 super chat will buy Daisy and I dinner. Thank you very much. Now that's this week I had the imported smoked salmon from Australia. That's about $7. But a average single meal is $255 or $6. So that money, you just bought Daisy and I dinner, and your name is going to go on a super chat dinner video that we're going to make. And the possibility exists that we may even do that tonight. It is Friday, but I usually like to take Daisy out on a Saturday night, so it might be tomorrow. So thanks for that, and I'm going to look for you if you have any other questions, and I'm going to look for you on Facebook. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down. I covered the business question. Craig K, everything Craig K is saying, every comment that Craig K is saying is in the title, in the notes of my very lengthy 5,000 word commentary in words on Filipina Cupid. Now I'm gonna throw that title of Filipina Cupid so you can go see the video that I have. And that girl asked me for 600,000 pesos on Filipina Cupid, and I knew her 7 or 8 minutes. We were having a meal. We were sitting down to have a meal, and she asked me for 15,000 American dollars. So here's the name of that video. If you want to see my perspective on this from, it's going on for 4.5 years now. It's a long time I've been here. So I'm going to post that in the bottom. That's the name of the video. It's one of my #1 videos. It has 450,000 views. So Vitrox Trusty Shellbank says 47 viewers. I can't see that part of the screen. Wow. Thanks for stopping by. Anybody has any questions about dating, feel free to ask. This is an open forum today. Thank you. Thank you for the views. Thank you for stopping by. Okay. This person, Merry Christmas. Another $10 super chat. Dude, well, ma'am, dude, I don't know what to say other than thank you. And I can't see my Facebook notes from here, but I will have to see it on my cell phone, which needs to be charged up. I forgot to charge this thing up. I can only see the Facebook requests on my cell phone. On my internet, on my computer, I don't get all my. Okay, so I'll scroll down. I don't get all my notifications on the computer. I only see them on my cell phone. Same Facebook channel, but I don't know what it is. Now I can call you directly if you leave your number and you're in America. I can call you directly and talk for as long as you like. Hi, honey. And this is the girl. After 3,000 chats and several dozen dates, this is the girl of my dreams, Daisy May. She's my dream girl. And
my dream boy.
We are the dream team. What were you doing? What were you doing?
Wash the clothes.
And the sheets too, I saw you wash, yeah?
Yeah.
And the pillowcases?
Yeah.
You just washed them last week.
I just like to.
She likes to have, every week she washes the sheets. Today's a beautiful day. And the pillowcases. And there was never any dishes in the sink. Either I do the dishes or Daisy does the dishes. Had I not been doing a live stream, I would definitely wash the sheets and the bigger stuff. But thank you.
Lama, welcome.
So after 3,000 conversations, and that's not an exaggeration, Daisy was the first girl to always show up on time, which is another thing. If they're late for your conversation, just go to the next one. There's thousands of girls out there. There's tens of thousands of girls that you can talk to. Now, how I met Daisy was a fluke. My landlord, who was a Filipino woman, said to me, "You're not having much luck," because I had just got back from Palawan where I met Lucky Lucy. There's a video called Lucky Lucy. She was a 44-year-old woman. Yeah, please. Thank you. Lucky Lucy was a 40-year-old woman who only needed 2.5 million pesos, or $60,000, to buy a dive business, so that if I came to Palawan, I could go scuba diving on a dive business that Lucky Lucy owned. The thing is, Lucky Lucy didn't know how to swim, and the dive business was owned by her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend. I don't know. She might have just been with me for about 8 days. I never could figure out if it was her current boyfriend, her husband, her cousin, or her friend. But Lucky Lucy wanted 2.5 million pesos. And I said, well, I'm going diving tomorrow. It's only going to cost me 3,000 pesos, not 2.5 million pesos. And she explained to me that if I give her 2.5 million pesos to buy a dive business, which, by the way, did I mention Lucky Lucy can't swim? She doesn't know how to dive, yet she told me she worked on the dive boat for 5 years. So already the dive boat was 5 years old. At that point, it's a piece of garbage because boats in the Philippines last 7 to 10 years. And then you throw them away. You don't fix them. The plywood, bad plywood. Everything gets waterlogged. It doesn't pay to fix it or reskin it. It doesn't even pay to reskin it. You just take the motor and the support package out and you build a new boat. So Merry Christmas. I'm going to get back to you in a minute. Sorry to get sidetracked. But if you give me your phone number, I'll call you immediately after the super chat. The American phone number, I could talk to you for as long as you want. I'll tell you where you want to go and which islands that you want to be on. But first, I have to tell them the Lucky Lucy story. So Lucy says, yes, you can go diving tomorrow for $50, 2,500 pesos. But if you buy me this business, I will put your name on the side of the boat. I said, I bet you I could walk up to the captain and give him 5,000 pesos and he put my name on the side of the boat. That's a true story. Now, I'll go into the Lucky Lucy, put her in the corner videos. Something about the corner. Okay, and I'll get into that. Let me go through the chat window and see if Merry Christmas has something to add. David Markle, did I enjoy the party? Oh, yeah. Anytime there's a Filipino party, anytime there's a Filipino party and you go to it, I don't care. I've never had a bad time at a Filipino party, but I suggest you leave before dark or around 4 o'clock, because by 4 o'clock they're all hammered, drunk, and then they start making requests. You want the charger? It's okay, honey. You want me to use the white one? You sure you don't need that one? Okay. Yeah, you want to leave before 4 o'clock. Definitely you don't want to be there at dark. Not that it's dangerous, but by the time dark 30 comes, they are drunk and they are requiring things like many quarts of beer, many bottles of beer, or bottles of rum. At which point you don't want to be there, because if you deny them that, they get upset with you because you spent a few hours with them drinking, and you're their friend. And if you're their friend, why don't you buy them? You know, somebody might say, "Give me money for 3 quarts of rum." Well, that's only 300 pesos or $6. It's not the rum that gets you that you don't want to be there. It's the attitude changes where each person is now asking you for something. 100 pesos for a load for the phone, 100 pesos for potato chips, whatever, snacks. Give me money for snacks. Believe me, you don't want to be around drunk Filipinos after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's about how long it takes them to get freaking hammered. Daisy, am I telling the truth?
Yeah, that's right. And then they will ask you some bullshit questions.
Come on over here, honey. Come and tell them that what I'm telling you is. Tell them. Go ahead. Tell them what you were saying. Go ahead. Tell them. This is about dating. This video is about dating.
Okay.
Okay, so tell them what happens if you're around them after they start getting drunk.
They will talk bad things about some bullshit questions.
They will start asking you personal questions, and I mean personal questions. They want to know how much money you have in the bank. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
They want to know how much money you have on you in your wallet because they need a loan. They would like to know. Okay, honey. Yeah, they want to know. They also want to know how many times a day you can. They'll ask, and that's not relegated to the men only. The women want to know this. And then they want to know personal things, really personal. Do you do this? Do you do that? And you're sitting around with a group of women that are also, boyfriends or girlfriends or mothers of these people. They have no shame. Once people start getting drunk, any question is open season. So going to parties in the Philippines can be a lot of fun, but you gotta have to. I don't get involved. As soon as they start asking me questions like that, I just the easiest way to do it is don't tell them that you're going to leave. Just stand up, gather your things, and tell them and look at your cell phone time and tell them I have to leave, and just walk away. I gotta go right now. I have another appointment. And the suggestion before you get to the party, tell everybody you have an appointment at 4 o'clock. This way, you have the excuse already primed up in their head, because they might get upset that you want to leave. They won't do anything about it, but they might. Craig K. This Craig K. Boy, he's got it under control. He's been on dating sites for a long time. Craig K. is everything Craig K. has said so far, and I've read every comment. Exactly truthful. Mike Jones, go watch Frank Battaglia. Okay, so why would I care? Tell me why I would care. Card, card, Carta Vida love. Okay, yeah, okay. Carta Vida love. I can go along with your comment. Not all women in the Philippines or China or Asia are like that. This pertains more to Thai women than Filipino women, but a lot of women here are like that. And specifically, we're talking about um, dating sites, but we're also talking about dating experiences. So if I had to talk to 3,000 women and date, I don't know how many hundreds of dates I had, mostly breakfast, lunch dates. How many before I met Daisy? Then other people are gonna, and because here was my requirement. Number one, they had to have no children. Number two, they had to want to have children one day. Number three, they had to move off the island that they lived on to come live where I want to live. Number four, they couldn't ask me for money for their family other than the money that they give their family from their monthly salary. Number five, I'm not getting married for a very long time. One children, marriage. No children, no marriage. Daisy knows this. She knew that when I met her. I have no problem with getting married, but I want to have a child because I'm going to have a business by the time the child is born, and the business is going under the child's name, and then I would be the parent. Not that I don't trust Daisy, but that's just the way it's going to work out. I do trust Daisy, and I trust her more now than I would have thought I would have trusted a woman. But that's me. I have been I've taken some big losses in life because of women that I trusted, and now I'm going to set the parameters of my business experience into good use. What I learned from business. So not all women are like that, but you need to be careful in the Philippines. Certainly not all women are like that. Craig K. He makes a good point. Gaddafi, the only people could Kadiva, what's Kadiv, whatever your name is. Not all, the only people who say not all are Filipinos. Craig K, another good point. Another great point. Filipinos say not all women. Not, you're right. That's one of the things, that's where the pathological lying comes into play. You're right about that. I forgot about it. It's a good point. That's right. They will get everybody involved, right? Everybody. Life in the Philippines is like Hello, Mr. Fazio. Top of the morning to you, my friend. I hope that all is well and good with you and your family and everyone who's there. Thank you very much. Life in the Philippines, as I see it. Everything is well. Beautiful day here. Okay, so we have 45 viewers. Oh yeah, thank you, Samuel. All right. I hope we have a bunch of questions. Otherwise, I will go back to reading. I'm almost down to the bottom. Craig, hey, I have so many stories after years in the Phils. Okay. Mr. Nuts gave War Dog. Yeah, I remember that name, Mr. Nuts. Thank you. More information on the dollar bills. Dude, I have 400 or 500 dollar bill videos. When you watch them all, you will have all the information you could ever hope to gather about dollar bills. Okay. Troll spray. Mr. Nuts has the troll spray. Mr. Nuts remembers Manny Skywatch is the person who made that expression that I remember. It was first I heard Manny Skywatch had troll spray. Yeah, Scott knows. Daisy and I never kissed in public. Did we ever kiss in public? Not yet. She doesn't like to do that. I don't really enjoy it that much either. Yeah, Philippine women, a lot of women won't kiss you in public. Something else I could tell you about Philippines women: if they walk in front of you, then they're just treating you like you're a dog on a leash. You meet a Filipino woman and you're out on a date and she walks 2 feet, 3 feet in front of you, you're basically her pet. If they walk next to you, if they like you, they'll hold your hand or you'll hold your arm in arm. If they're just using you, it's just they're walking in front of you because they have to get from point A to point B, and usually point B is where you're going to spend some money. Now, Craig K, this is a major, 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 major thing that I tell people, and I told Scott the other day. Never, ever, ever, ever move to the same island or live on the same island as the family. Never do that. Find a girl, you find a place that you want to live, and then you find a girl when you come here that wants to live with you. You make arrangements how many times they can go visit their family right in the beginning. Daisy can visit her family once a year, but we worked it out where this Christmas she spends with me. Next Christmas she spends with her family because I have no wish, want, or desire to spend a month in Mindanao. Now I might go there for a few days, but I have no want to be in Mindanao for a month. I like it where I live here. There's no beach in Mindanao where she lives. There's nothing. There's no scuba diving. There's nothing for me to do there. But never move to the same island that the family is on because they will come to your house and they will. It's just a natural. Filipinos, if they have $10 worth of food, they're going to share with you the lion's share. They're going to give to you. But if you have a house and a refrigerator and stock in the shelves, and then you bring the family over to the house, it's open season on your food closet, open season on your refrigerator. I even had a family take mouthwash out of my mouthwash bottle. I mean, like I had a big, like a pint, and when I had this much left, and then they actually took a water bottle, I guess, and filled up a water bottle. They took the mouthwash. They took the toothpaste. They took some of the toothbrushes that I had in new. Oh God! Don't. They come to your house. They'll clean you out. Stephen Francis, we're talking about everybody's dating experiences in the Philippines. Okay, so if you have any questions you want to ask Stephen Francis, I'm at the bottom of the page. I'll be able to see that. And I'm going to go back to Filipino Cupid. Now, I only got up to the number 3 item of what not to do when dating a woman. So let me go up to, okay, so I'm actually up to number 2, and I've been talking for well over an hour. First, now this is the name of the video where you can see 70 comments. 70 comments is the video title I just put in. And now on that video, there are several hundred comments. And you can see who agrees and who doesn't agree. I created this video back in maybe April or June of 2014. I don't know the exact date. It's probably up at the top of the page. Let's see. I'll go there. Okay. November 27th, 2014. It has 432,000 views, 1,000 likes, and 931 dislikes. Because I didn't hold anything back when I was making that video. I'll tell you that right now. And I put the comments in. The first thing you need to know is that Filipino Cupid sucks for the following 77 reasons. The second thing you need to know, the number 2, that was number 1. Number 2, the first thing you need to know, you should know this beforehand. 99% of the girls on here have boyfriends and are only on here making a living, nothing more. Now, that's the truth. Most of the girls on the internet are going to ask you for a sum of money, and you're never going to meet them. They're going to tell you they need money for a load, or they're going to tell you they need money for transportation to meet you, and they're going to tell 10 people on the island that you're on and every other island of where they talk to that they're going to be on that island on a Friday night. And this happened to me. So I'm talking to this girl from Cebu, and she's coming to meet me on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. And where I live, I gave her directions to the hotel I was living in. And Friday, she comes and she tells me she's in Bohol at about 3 o'clock. She goes, but I can't meet you at the hotel. Understandable. But you can meet me at Rockaway's in Alona Beach. Well, Rockaway's is a bar and it's a nightclub. And at the time, 25 to 35% of the people in there were either gay or transvestites. And I wouldn't go into that. I never, 5 years now, I've never been in there one time. So I said, well, I don't want to meet you there. So she goes, well, you said we were going to meet. And I said, the agreement was you come to the hotel. You could even bring one of your friends with you, but you come to the hotel. I'm not going to Rockaway's to meet a woman. So the next day, oh, 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 oh. 7 times they say hello. I have a gecko. What is the name of that? A tuco, a lizard about that long. He lives up right in a box I have upstairs on the shelf. And every once in a while, he gets a little bit jealous that I'm talking to somebody else. He's been here now a long time, huh? Yeah? Been here a year. And every once in a while, at all hours of the day and night, there's no specific time. He goes, oh. He does that 7 times. Does it 6 times. Sometimes he does it 5 times. But if you add 1 at the 5th one, he'll do 1 more or 2, or she will. I don't know which is which. Okay, so most, oh, man. Oh, 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 what happened? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I shut it off. No. Oh. Oh, boy. Hold on a minute. I'm having technical difficulties here. Where is what, honey? Hold on. I have to find. Where is it? Okay. Did I? No, I didn't. Okay. I still have. All right. I'm still here. Jeez. I pushed a button and I opened up a new Google Chrome. I thought I pushed the wrong button. Craig K. Okay, so Vitrix. Yes, it is creepy. It's very creepy, my friend. It freaks you out. They do not make any mistake about this. It's one of the creep to have a woman ask you certain questions. And I mean, you're talking about a 40, 50-year-old woman. They have no they have no qualms about asking you personal questions, and it is creepy. You're right about that. Okay, so Craig cases, Mr. Nuts, most pinai on dating sites are not single. They're not only are they not single, but they're not looking for a boyfriend. They're only on there to talk to you for 1 or 2 weeks or a month. Not all, but a lot. I mean, some of them, for some girls, this is how they make a living. And another complication is you don't know that you're actually talking to a girl. You could be talking strictly to a lady boy or a man, and then when you demand that you see them on Skype after 2 weeks, they'll put their sister or a professional scamming woman on, and the only way to know that is to remember what you said 2 weeks ago and then ask that person some question that you discussed with her, like how many brothers and sisters does she have? But usually they work as a team. So they both know everything there is to know about your previous chat. It happens a lot. He's right about that. And a lot of them are married, and their husband just goes right along with this. And the way to know this is I would used to pay whatever it cost to call the Philippines to hear the girl's voice. If they told me they couldn't go on Skype, I'd say, okay, give me a telephone number. And I'd call overseas. It was $1 a minute. Well, that's at the time wasn't much money to me, but it was a lot of money. So I would talk to them for 2 or 3 minutes and then go back online. I'd want to hear that it's a girl's voice, but I would choose some oddball time to talk to them, which would be 3 o'clock in the morning their time. And I said, I want to hear your voice. And I'd call them up. I hear a woman's voice. I said, oh, at least I think I'm talking to a woman, because she would say they don't have Skype. But a lot of times their boyfriend and their husband, that's the operation. That's their job, collecting money from stupid Cano. Okay, so now Vitrox, thank you, Vitrix, thank you. You super chat, Daisy. We have super chat dinner. You want to go tonight or tomorrow? It's up to me. Daisy, tell everybody why the decision is up to me, please.
What?
Tell everybody why the decision of when to use the super chat money is up to me, please.
Michael always have decision because he is the boss. The amo.
And what is the boss? No, the boss. Why? So I have the decision. Why? Say it again. It sounds good.
Michael is the boss. The amo.
The amo. I am the amo. I'm the boss. That's why I am the one who makes the decisions. Amo. Amo. I sounds good, doesn't it? Honey, sometimes she tells the truth, and that is the truth. So, so Vitrix says thank you for giving them some conversation. Thank you, Vitrix. I think we're gonna choose to go out tomorrow, Saturday night. Thank you very much for the super chat. We're gonna put your name in the super chat dinner, and then also Merry Christmas has 2 $10 super chats, which is totally uncalled for. And we're going to call Miss Merry Christmas Merry Christmas after we get done here, honey. Remind me.
Okay.
All right, Merry Christmas has another question. So now I'm only seeing this question now because when I was scrolled up, I hope you're still here. The best way to make money here, okay, these little sari stores that you see everybody on YouTube has a sari store. That's not a good way to make money. I have a great location, and I might even do that one day, but that's not a good way to make money. You make pennies, small money, small change, unless you're really super busy, and I would never get that kind of traffic. The hotels in the area by me, they're all booked solid. You can't get a hotel from the second week of November until April. Hotels are a good way to make money, but you have to have a Filipino as a 60% partner. Hopefully it would be your wife, and hopefully you'll have children, and the business would be underneath the children's name and your wife's name and your name. So the way I spoke with my lawyer, it works out to be beneficial to do it like that. Another way to make money here is not so much. You could buy a tricycle for 130,000 pesos, but you can't operate. I've never seen a foreigner operate a tricycle. Have you, Daisy?
Hmm?
Have you ever seen a foreigner as a tricycle driver?
No, I did not.
I think you can only be Filipino. But what you can do with that tricycle, the new one with a 175cc motorcycle and an extra wide car, which is 32 inches inside the car of seat space. Smaller ones are 28 and 30 inches that they have in the city. So a 32-inch car next to the motorcycle and a 175cc motorcycle costs about 125,000 pesos, which is about $2,500 with registration and everything altogether. About $2,500. Then you can rent that tricycle to a Filipino that is a tricycle driver that doesn't have the money for one for about 250 pesos or 300 pesos a day. It's going to take a long time to get your money back, and if they have an accident, you're going to lose money.
You can trust.
It's a iffy. Then the next way is you can buy a jeepney, and the same thing goes there. You can't run it, you can't drive it, but you can rent it out for a few thousand pesos a day, but they take a beating. So that's a way to make money. You could own the tricycle and you could rent it to a Filipino, but you can't operate it and collect money yourself. I've never seen a foreigner do that, and I'm sure I would have seen it in 5 years if it was legal. But then, of course, when no one is using the tricycle, you will have a tricycle for transportation. So if you have somebody that's a good tricycle driver, maybe you could hold back half his. Maybe they have only 30,000 pesos to buy a tricycle. I don't know. I wouldn't do it, but maybe they had a significant amount of money saved towards a tricycle and say, give me the 30,000 pesos as a deposit so you don't get it. That covers any accident costs. Probably not going to happen, but you could try it. But I wouldn't do it. But it is a way to make money, and some foreigners where we live have tricycles that they rent to other people. Now, another way, but the best way is to have a hotel. It's the simplest of the 4 or 5 other ways there is to make money here. A small hotel. You have a woman that you're living with, you love, you get married, you have children, whatever. You buy a big enough piece of property. And in our case, we rented it. So my name is on the title. I control the property. So if you do that, then you could build a house and you could build rooms on the other side of the property and just advertise online that you have a room for 1,000 pesos a night. That's the best way to make money, but you got to be here because otherwise the rooms will get rented out and you won't ever see the money. You'll pay the maintenance for the aircon and the plumbing, and something's always breaking, but